Let's do this. Tenet is written and directed by Christopher Nolan and stars John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki, and Kenneth Branagh. This film has been delayed 3 times due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, this is pretty much the reason as to why people are going to the cinemas today. With pretty much just one word, Tenet, the protagonist must fight for survival of the entire world as he attempts to journey through the world of espionage and also being on a time-bending mission to prevent World War III. That's the description that I took from IMDb. I'm not joking. Literally every word I took from IMDb because I refuse to describe the plot of this film. I just can't. So I think it's easier to do that. This whole film has been pretty much anticipated from me and pretty much every film lover who goes to the theaters to watch films. I've been very excited about this for quite some time, and now here it is, and now I've seen it. I've always been a fan of Christopher Nolan's work. He is in my top 5 favorite directors of all time. He's up there with Denis Villeneuve, Hayao Miyazaki, David Fincher, the list goes on. I'll probably make a video about that, a very in-depth video. But naturally, I was very excited to watch this film, as I would be for any other film that he's made, including Dunkirk, the Dark Knight trilogy, Interstellar, of course, and this one, it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same feeling. I don't think there is a more easy way to say this, but Tenet was a blast to watch. I loved this film so much. It was wonderfully confusing, and that's the thing that I absolutely love about it. It was a true spectacle. This film was marvelous in almost every way. I couldn't get my eyes off that screen throughout the entire runtime. This film is 2.5 hours and it didn't feel like it at all. And that's one of the best praises that you can give to a film. It's a very long film, but it just doesn't feel like it. And that's the exact same thing that I had for a film like the Dark Knight trilogies, for Interstellar. These were long films, but they didn't feel like it. And Tenet joins them in that category. It was hugely entertaining. This film is a spy, espionage, thrilling spectacle all into one. And it's just a very mind-bending film. And Nolan is no stranger to mind-bending films. If you've seen Interstellar, Inception, Memento, then you'll know what I'm talking about. In terms of plot, this is by far the most challenging out of all Nolan films. I think it's up there with a film like Memento in terms of challenging the audience with what they're actually witnessing in the plot, especially of the film. When it comes to wrapping one's mind around a concept and its narrative, this is probably the most ambitious plot that I have seen from Nolan ever. I really liked how it was close to having a rather similar pattern with films like Inception and Interstellar. I feel like they could have some sort of Blu-ray, collection. Inception, Interstellar, and Tenet. I feel like there's some sort of theme there, like reality and time. That's all I'm going to say. While watching this film, you can immediately tell that Nolan has worked so long on this. It took him 5 years to write the screenplay, and let alone more than 10 years to come up with this whole idea of the plot and the narrative. That's insane. That just shows you how dedicated this director is into making such an original, unique storyline for the audience. For a film like this, it's so ahead of its time. That's the thing that I absolutely love about him and the reason why he's one of my favorites. He manages to come up with such original concepts that is beyond imaginable. I really do believe that the best way to go into a film is just knowing nothing about the plot. So I only watched the first trailer and that was it. There was obviously 3 trailers that came out and I only watched the first one, and that gave nothing away. If you want to see my reaction to that, I was just completely jaw-dropped by it because I had no idea what this guy is planning to do. Thankfully, they didn't show anything. And I'm not even kidding. The first 60 seconds of this film, I already knew. I immediately knew this is going to be something special. And the music, the score, the situation, what's going on in the film. It brought me back, and I was like, no, this is vintage Nolan, and I was just so happy. I was riveted. All the people that are involved are great in this film. John David Washington gave a hell of a performance. I see so much of Denzel Washington in him. It's crazy. I honestly at one time thought, what, that's Denzel cameo in a Nolan film. But no, it was actually just his son, John David Washington. So that's crazy to me. And then I have to go on, of course, to Robert Pattinson. This guy, he is pretty much one of the big future stars. And for him to be rising so high with amazing films like Good Time and now this, it's just awesome. And honestly, after watching Tenet, I do think that Robert Pattinson's going to be perhaps the best Bruce Wayne / Batman. His body language, the way he was, his look and everything, it literally reminded me of Bruce Wayne. I think he's going to be incredible in the Batman, and Matt Reeves is going to bring something special out of this guy. He is a fantastic actor, and I loved him in this film. The film was shot pretty much entirely with the IMAX cameras, and so it's just natural to think that this film is going to be looking so gorgeous, and it did. Hans Zimmer is usually the music composer for Nolan's films, but this is the first time in 10 years that he's been absent, and it doesn't feel like it because his replacement, Ludwig Göransson, I really hope I pronounced that right again, he managed to capture that feeling of the film and its visuals just perfectly. But having said all this, Tenet is not Nolan's best work. I do think that there are some films in the past that are quite similar to this. No comparison, of course, but personal preference, I do think that films like Inception will perhaps be a little bit better. I would say two main things that I had a problem with the film. That the first one is, I think pretty much everyone is saying the exact same thing. It's the sound mixing of the film. Yes, there are a few scenes, a couple of scenes where I literally did not understand a single dialogue that they were saying. Nolan does this really weird thing since The Dark Knight Rises where he lowers the dialogue and ups the background noise and the score. It's very riveting, it's very impactful, but at the same time it can be quite frustrating a few times because I obviously want to understand what the characters are saying. There could have been subtitles, but at the same time, it's a good way to say that you don't have to concentrate too much on what they're saying, just look at it visually and just enjoy yourself. And so I got into that very quickly. I think in the first few scenes, I was a little bit, okay, I don't know what's really going on, but then I just laid back and I didn't really worry and I just enjoyed it. So I quickly got into that mentality and it worked. But I do understand a few other people's frustrations with the film. I'm not going to go so far to saying it's awful just for that reason, because that's just not true and you know that, but that's what I'm going to say. This film is maybe known for the most inspiring, original and unique, entertaining plot that I can remember since a while, but I, of course, did not connect with the characters as much as I wanted to. With this film, for example, you have John David Washington, who is known as the protagonist. That's it. No name, just the protagonist. That's just an example, of course, but so I do wish that I could have appreciated and connected to the characters more, because in my opinion, as a film lover, I do think I put the character work more important than the storyline. And I had the same problem with Dunkirk as well. I don't think the character motivation was there at all. With this one, it's slightly better, 100%. But nonetheless, Tenet is visually a dazzling puzzle for all film lovers, such as myself, to sort out and solve. It's probably Nolan's most complex film, and it is this that will continue to intrigue me for many years to come. I will be watching this film multiple times and I will pick something out and I would appreciate it more and more and more. Although I love this film right now, I can't imagine how I will feel in a year's time. It probably will be even more. It was just incredible to see how the action scenes that I'm not even sure how they even pulled off in terms of the film's plot that I'm not going to get into. I just don't know how they managed to do that. It was just so fascinating to see. But I'm just going to say this, of course, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, of course. But I read all these social media posts about how much they don't like this film, and they just say, oh, it's too much, it's too complicated, it's too complex, I can't understand anything, I can't enjoy it. It's a Nolan film. If you've not seen any of his films like Prestige, Inception, Interstellar, Memento, Insomnia, these are very complex films, and these are very original and unique films that everyone should appreciate, but sadly not many people actually do. And so just for that, they purposely hate on this film. I am going to pull aside from the sound mixing, which is a main problem with this film, no doubt in my mind, but I'm talking about the plot and the narrative. It's exactly what the director and the actual film says. Try not to understand it, feel it. That's the best way to describe this film with your expectations. Just enjoy it and be entertained. Because of the way it is, people are actually going to go so far to say that this film is terrible, and I'm sorry, but that's just not true. It's a film that requires a lot of your time, your attention, and it is an incredibly ambitious project that is awe-inspiring, and it definitely makes young and upcoming filmmakers scratch their heads as to what they just saw and how they can pull off something even better. That's how much of a genius Nolan is. And if you can't give that attention and that respect, especially to a film like this, don't watch it. That's my advice to you. Don't watch it. Don't even bother. I tell you what, the thing I applaud the most of all is how Nolan refuses to pander to audiences who are not willing to pay that much attention. He has crafted an elegant and a multi-layered cinematic event. And so I'm going to give Tenet an A-. I would have given it probably an A if it weren't for the main problem for sound mixing, but that's the way it is. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Let me know on your thoughts. What do you guys think about it? No spoilers, of course. Thank you. Thank you.